just don't know. I don't know. I'm looking, yeah.
Marc Clark, that's classic. I love it.
Welcome to the show. We got an exciting show tonight. Bootsy Vegas, who's been traveling the world, singing, cranking, if you will, is back and in the house. What's up, my friend? Good seeing you, brother.
I'm doing good, man. Blessed and highly favored. Fine, Foxy, and favored.
Fine, Foxy, and favored. Well, Bootsy, we're going to hop right into the show because our next guest has a busy palette of activity. Let me tell you something. She's one of those guests. If you miss her, you better not miss a call 3 minutes. It's too late. I'll see you next month. She got stuff chop, Marc Clark, messing around with me. This young lady is, don't let her beauty fool you, Bootsy. Don't let the white teeth and the pretty hair fool you. She will take you to meet your maker. Okay, she's got hands.
Good way or a bad way? Because that
well, I think in a whole bunch of different ways. I'm saying she is a weapons specialist, if you will.
Ooh.
She got you. She said, what did she say? Edge weapons, her hands, and she got them guns.
That's the type of woman I need in my life.
She's tactical. That's right. She's a tactical expert. So again, don't take her beauty for granted, because you'll end up. You'll meet your maker if you make the wrong move. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're hopping right into it because, again, Bootsy, she's got other shows she's got to do tonight. Coach Quiana is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up, Coach Quiana. Coach.
Wow, I don't know about that introduction. You made me sound scary. Oh my goodness. If you didn't highlight the beauty part, I would have thought that I was a monster.
Well, but see, Coach.
Hey, truth be told, I didn't know what to expect. I'm still.
Listen, I know he had, look, I tell you what an introduction. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I mean, wow. I mean, I didn't know who you were talking about for a second there, but
well, you are beautiful. I mean, before we go any further,
don't get it twisted.
He can't say it, but I can.
Thank you.
You are as beautiful as advertised. You are as beautiful as advertised.
Yes,
right. Thank you so much. Listen, I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad, Marc, that we could finally connect. Listen, it's a busy time right now for everybody. Like I'm wearing a lot of hats. I'm a mama. I got businesses. I got organizations. I won't say that, but I got a lot of stuff going on. So I'm glad that we could connect and I could make it on this show to talk about what I love, which is firearm safety, defensive tactics.
You love that?
Yes, empowering and preparing our people so that they can be protected. That's my goal. So,
and
I'm glad that I can be here to talk about it.
And Bootsy, the thing I love about Coach Quiana is that this topic can be tough because a lot of times I think certain people, certain groups have used guns and they use fear in a certain way. And so sometimes it's hard to have this conversation because it's coming from a certain almost paid for political almost lobbyist group that's pushing a message down our throat. But then that's what I love about Coach Quiana is here you have a strong Black woman coming from a perspective of just honesty and reality, because I think, we can't deny that I have three daughters and a wife. And so, I see, when my kids leave the house, my wife leaves the house, there's always that concern about, it's a crazy mixed up world out there. Can they defend themselves? What would happen if something happened? And so talking to Coach Quiana, somebody who is skilled in all these forms of protection. I said, we got to have her on. So, Coach, tell us your background. What got you into this field, this area?
Well, I have over 20 years federal law enforcement experience. And so that's where it started. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't a gun enthusiast or anything like that. I was, just looking. I was actually in college looking for a job. And then I kind of landed in the federal arena, if you will. And then from there, I just, I took a liking to it, right? I enjoyed shooting. Once I was no longer afraid, because initially I was scared, the first time I shot a gun, I was so fearful, literally I saw fire come out the end and I was like, oh my gosh.
How old were you?
Right. I was early 20s.
And that was the first time just even having a gun in your hand?
Absolutely. That was the first time. So I was recruited out of college, and I came from a liberal arts background. And so I was just looking for a job, and it was like, hey, are you interested in this? And at first, I'll be completely honest, I was like, heck no, the feds, where I'm from, nobody likes the feds, right?
You from?
Where you from? I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Originally. And I came... Yeah, Beantown. So I came to Baltimore to go to school, Morgan State University, the Morgan State University, a national treasure. And so I came to Maryland, went to Morgan, and like I said, liberal arts background. I had a degree in history, and I was looking for a job. So got recruited, went into law enforcement, and I really... I enjoyed the defensive tactics. I enjoyed the firearms aspect of it. But what made me get into training other people was I had friends would say, hey, can you take me to the range? Can you teach me how to shoot? And of course I would do it. And then as I was at the range, I would find so many people that were doing things that were just so dangerous, right? All these bad habits and dangerous stuff. And so I felt like, I need to help them. So I, always, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I show you how to do this? Or people would see me shoot and they're like, hey, can you help me? You know what you're doing. Can you help me? So I was doing it for free. And then my business partner, Leslie Butler, approached me and she was like, hey, I would love for you to teach some classes with me, some of my more advanced classes. I'm doing some defensive tactics stuff. And I was like, absolutely, I'll help you, not a problem. So next thing you know, I ended up partnering with her, and I really didn't want to. I was like, that's not my focus. I have another business in mental health. So that I was like, I'm really focused on the mental health thing. It just kind of organically grew, and I've become so passionate about it because what I find is there's so many people in the Black community, especially women, that are so afraid of guns, right? Because of the negative stigma attached with them because of gun violence in our community, right? All they think is boys in the hood. Everybody got the hand pointed this way with the rap videos, these movies, and the media. Let's be honest, the news just over
demonizing it.
Demonizing it. That's a good word. Demonize, but it is. It's horrible. It's horrific. Yeah. The number of people that are dying from gun violence, right? It is horrific. However, there's a place for it. First of all, it's our right to bear arms. And there's a place for it. We need to be empowered to protect ourselves. Right. We need to be empowered to protect ourselves because I feel like this, I'm not going to bring a knife to a gunfight. If it's the Wild Wild West and everybody has one, I want to have one too. And I feel like if you have the mindset to actually carry a gun and to use one, then you should. Right. Because crazy things are happening. You'll be surprised at how many home invasions take place, how many women are robbed or abducted, raped, coming out of grocery stores in the parking lot of a grocery store, trying to load groceries take the groceries out of their car and bring them into their homes, things like that, And so giving women and individuals, because I train a lot of men, actually I train more than I do women, but empowering individuals to take their safety into their own hands, to protect themselves and their families. Like, you guys see it all the time, I'm sure, right? What's happening, school shootings, movie theaters, malls, grocery stores, right? If there was an individual in any of those places that had a gun, they could have positioned themselves to...
Things have been different.
Absolutely.
Even this weekend in that club, in Colorado?
Yes, exactly. So these things are happening more often now, and so I think that it's time for us to take.
You made a key point, and I would love to go back over this because.
So hold on. So Coach Quiana, let me just prepare you now. Bootsy Vegas is known as the questioner. So now there'll be a stream of questions. So just sit back and relax.
Oh,
No.
I'm good. I'm good. Come on, come
again,
for
if
it. I
you're
love
just
it.
tuning in, we're talking about gun ownership, safety. Should you own one? Should you not? It's not a political conversation.
Not at all.
Coach Quiana, we're talking about the nuts and bolts. This is not sponsored by, and we're not trying to push a message. We're trying to have a real conversation about it. So the questioner just took a sip of his tea and he's now ready. Yes, go ahead, Bootsy.
Okay, well, you made a great point, and I think it's important that maybe you can elaborate on that. You said that everybody, if they have the mind frame, should be able to carry one. Could you elaborate or break down what you think the mind frame is? Because I do think, and even with background checks now, and Congress wanting to do that. Break down, in your opinion, as a person who teaches it or whatever, what is the mind frame? What is the right mind frame in your opinion as a gun instructor?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question because I always start with mindset. I don't know what happened; it just went black. But can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear
we
me?
can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Mhm.
So it always starts with mindset, right? You have to that's the first thing, right? Am I First of all, am I mentally sound? Do I have the ability not necessarily to pull the trigger, but to not pull the trigger? Right? Because so many people think they're quick to pop off, quick to pop off, quick to pull the trigger. But the real control, the real power is knowing that I have a gun on me and I could take your life at any second, but I won't because it's not necessary. Right? That's the first thing. So do I have the self-control? Do I have the awareness to say, I'm not going to get hot-tempered and take someone's life, shoot someone, whatever, endanger somebody when I shouldn't have to, when I don't need to, right? It's not necessary, right? Because you got to look at the escalation of situations. Some people, there's so many individuals that die when they shouldn't have, right? They should not have. So that's the first thing that I talk to people about, right? And then I want to know if you have the mental stability, right? Because there are some people that are not quite there. And when I'm talking to people and they tell me, oh, I want to get a gun, I want to shoot, I start interviewing them. I start asking them questions, just talking to them without them really knowing and assessing whether or not they are someone that should have a gun. And I will turn people down. Like, you know what? I don't think this class is for you. My class is not for you. Now, I'm not going to insult them and say, I don't know if you have the mental stability to be a firearms owner, but I will tell them, I really don't think this class is for you.
Well, let me ask you the question that everybody probably in America asks. I'm sorry, Mike, I'm going to transition right over to you. That is a great point, the way you break it down. So in your opinion, then, do you think it should be a different age limit? And what if you were in charge of the law, what age would you enforce of you think somebody is mentally capable or mature enough to own a gun?
So, 21 is definitely legal age. I believe so. So, and I don't want to get into the politics behind all of this. Conversations coming up with these assault rifles and ARs and all of this other stuff that they're talking about in the media, right? Who can, because honestly, so this is what I'll say. And this is what I tell my students, right? If you own a firearm, if you are trained, if you're a responsible firearm owner, you've taken the classes, you've gotten the licenses that allow you to have a firearm in your home, to protect your home for home defense, then the individuals that live in your home should know how to shoot it, right? Because if there is, let's say, somebody breaks into your home and tries to harm you or your family, let's say you're not home, the law protects the individuals that live in that home to say that if they were to take your firearm to defend themselves in the home, they would be covered. So they should know how to shoot a gun, right? So I say spouses, children of a certain age and a certain strength. I have young daughters. Oh, they're not so much young, but they're 12 and 15. My daughters are trained. I've been taking them to the range since they were about 9 and 12. But they were familiar with the firearm from the time I started carrying one, because it's not a toy and I need them to know what it is and what it can do. So I suggest that the people in the home should be trained, all people, because let's say, for example, there's an intruder, you have a gun, the intruder is able to disarm you. Maybe you get shot. Now, your wife and kids, I don't know if you have a wife and kids, but your wife and kids are in the house. Mark, your wife and kids are still there. Your wife needs to be able to get a gun, if you have one in the home, and protect her children and to protect herself, or any child, right? So I think it's really important to teach. And so I say that to say, 21 the legal age to be able to purchase. I think so, right? But there's still everybody that is of age, because there's 50-year-olds that should not have a gun. So everyone that is of age may not have the mental capacity, the mindset to own a gun. And you have to know yourself, right? I've had people like, oh, you know what? That's not for me, because one, I'm too afraid to pull the trigger. I would never want to do that. I would never want to kill somebody. That's okay, because there's other self-defense methods, and I can teach you those. But then there's some people that, like I said, they pop off too quick, right? They have a short fuse.
So, Coach, is there a, is there a, for people who like guns, the feeling of shooting a gun at a gun range, what percentage would you say people who go to the gun range, just enjoy the feeling of shooting a gun? And what is that, in your opinion, what is that feeling? I've never shot a gun at a gun range. I never shot a gun.
We gotta get
general.
you out. We gotta get you out. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people shoot for sport, right? So shooting is actually a sport. It's competitive. There's competitive shooting. It's a sport, and it's a lot of fun. I can't tell you an exact percentage. I would probably venture to say, when I go to the range, 95% of the people really enjoy it. There's probably about 5% that are there just because they feel like it's necessary. I'm here to get a license. It's a necessary evil. Those are the individuals that, and it may be more than that, that they get their licenses and they never shoot after that. They're the ones that come to me and they say, oh, I want my concealed carry permit. I have my HQL. HQL is the handgun qualification license, right? That's the first step in Maryland to own a firearm. You have to get your handgun qualification license in order to purchase a firearm and to own one in your home. And then after that, now we can get concealed carry, right? Because it's our Second Amendment right. And so concealed carry means you can put a firearm, you can wear one every day, and you can carry it concealed wherever you go in the state of Maryland. So I have people that come to me and they say, oh, I want my concealed carry. And I'm like, oh, great. Do you have an HQO? Yes, I have my HQO. Okay, great. You own a gun? Yeah, I have a gun. Okay, well, bring your gun. I'll talk to them. I'll tell them about the class. They come to my class. They're like, yeah, I haven't taken this thing out of the box. I bought it 2 years ago and it's been sitting on my shelf. That's a problem. That's a problem, because it's a perishable skill. Shooting is a perishable skill. You need to do it, and you need to do it often to be proficient. I tell people, you're not qualified to save your life. If you haven't taken that gun out the box since you bought it 2 years ago, you don't know your own firearm, then you're not going to be able to protect yourself, because you probably don't even remember how to load it.
That's a great point. That's a great point, because I think it's something you don't really think about, and I think, and that is interesting. I think for myself, I'm 56 years old. I've never been in a life or death situation. I've never been approached. I've never been threatened. I've never had to fight. I've never had to feel the fear of somebody assaulting me. So for me, I don't have that doesn't even cross my mind, really, but again, I'm a big guy. I mean, I've been a big guy my whole life. My daughter and my wife are, they're small, and you just you think about that and you worry about that. But you made a great point. I think a big part of it is a mentality. I think some people, like you said, may have all the skills in the world, but they just would never pull the trigger, or they never would keep up the training to be gun efficient,
proficient, right? Exactly.
Proficient. And so it's interesting, because I think in theory, working in the the Baltimores and the DCs and the big cities, and being in the media and hearing all these stories, in theory, You know, I've always said I wanted to get guns for the household and guns and be trained on it, and all the girls be proficient and all that kind of stuff. I just never have, no pun intended, pulled the trigger. So I'm sorry, Bootsy Vegas. I see your lips are ready.
Right,
You're
his
ready.
brain is moving. I see it too.
Well, I would love it. Well, I do have a few questions. I guess the first question would be, if somebody is apprehensive, maybe like Mark and other people, what would be the alternatives that you could offer? Because I do think sometimes it could be a transitional phase into it. Like when you learn one step of self-defense, you can go to another one. What would be a lesser demanding course that maybe that you could provide for somebody?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, there's several weapons that you can use, right? Anything could actually be a weapon, right? But tasers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stun guns, mace, right? You know,
Yeah, I
OC
carry mace
spray.
with me. I carry
Yeah,
bear spray
okay.
everywhere I go. Like that is my, I just carry that with me just in case.
And that's good. And so, are you familiar with how to use the bear spray that you carry? Because there's different kinds, right? So there's foam, there's gel, there's the mist. So you need to know which one you're carrying and what's the most optimal way of using it, so that you're using it effectively. You know, some of
Mhm.
them further range,
And you
some of
offer those courses?
yes, I do.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
I
that's
do.
great to know.
Right. So further, some are good for further away. Some you need to be closer. Usually, it's closer contact, but then you also have to be aware of blowback, right? Because if it gets on you, it gets in your eyes and your mouth and your nose, then it's going to have the same effect on you that it would have on the assailant. And so
Right.
you need to know how to prevail in that situation. How to fight through it. What to do after the fact, to rinse the face, and so on and so forth. So that's important to know. It's so easy to buy, but people don't think about that, right? And so that's what I teach people. Like, there's different kinds. So which kind is going to be best suited for you? Where to deploy it and where not to deploy it. You don't want to deploy it in a closed up car, because everybody in that mother is going to be jacked up,
Yeah.
so that's an alternative. Again, tasers, right? Or stun guns are an option. Now, there's training that you have to take to buy them, and there's certain requirements that need to be met, but civilians can purchase those as well and use that as an option to defend yourself. And then there's just good old hand techniques. You know what I'm saying? There's things to do. If somebody's coming on you, right? They're trying to attack you. They grab you at a certain place. There's a way to get out of that grab or to get out of that hold. There's strikes that you can do to throw somebody off, to create distance. That's what we talk about. We want to create distance. Somebody's in close quarters with you. They're coming at you. You want to create distance. 9 times out of 10, I don't care how good you are, unless you're an MMA fighter, you don't want to get into hand-to-hand combat with an attacker, because you just don't know. You don't know what they have on them. You don't know anything. There's too many unknowns. So what you want to do is you want to try to create distance so that you can get away, that you can pull out a weapon, whether it's a non-lethal or a lethal weapon. And then be able to get assistance, get help, call for police, yell. There might be people in the areas, attacker, somebody's attacking me. So these are things that you can do if you're apprehensive about shooting. And then it's a slow process to gradually break you into it. Come to the range and just look, stand
Right.
in there and just observe to get the feel, because it's loud. Them booms go, when it goes off, your heart jumps. You're going to jump every single time. And I still jump, and I've been shooting for over 20 years, and I still jump every time. Some ammunition is more powerful than others. Some guns are more powerful than others. So the boom is going to be real loud, but to just get yourself acclimated with that environment, right? To feel it, right? Get the adrenaline flowing, because it's an adrenaline rush. You get tunnel vision, you start honing in. You're just seeing down target. Everything else blurs out. You don't even hear the sounds anymore. And we talk about in my classes, I talk about the psychology and the science behind it, and what's happening to your body when you're shooting, whether it's for sport, whether it's in a shooting incident, what happens to you. And so getting yourself acclimated, and then putting your hand on the gun, touching the gun, learning the nomenclature of it, that kind of lowers your defense and the apprehension, because you realize that it's not so fearful.
Coach Quiana, I don't think you can help not wanting to take your class when you see you because you just got
Man,
that energy.
he
And
is a
so,
communicator too. You know what I mean?
yeah, great
He's
communicator.
breaking
So,
it down in
Coach,
such layman terms. You know what I mean? And you do make it make sense. You kind of makes it make sense, which is not always the case when people are presenting. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
needs of it. So I'm appreciating this conversation.
Right.
So,
Well, I
Coach,
really enjoy it. And so, and I would like to add this. So again, in addition to, so we do handgun training, but we also do long gun training. So, rifles, AR-15s, shotguns, you know, again, home defense, personal protection. I want to emphasize that, you know, but again, shooting can also be fun. So we offer classes, you know, nights out at the range just to shoot for fun, right? You know, we played little range games, you know, one of my favorites is follow the hole, right? So when you know you're shooting behind and you're trying, it really works on proficiency, right, and accuracy because you're trying to shoot in somebody else's hole. So doing little things like that to make it fun and interesting because it can be a lot of fun. Now, I would also like to say it can be expensive because training, you know, and I can't emphasize training enough. You have to train. I tell all my students, especially concealed carry, you should be on the range no fewer than once a month. Right? You should be out there at least once a month, and you need to be putting at least a box of rounds downrange. That's 50 rounds downrange, you know, with the gun that you're carrying on your person every single day. You need to be proficient with it, right? You need to know that thing. It's like a relationship, like a marriage, right?
Ooh.
You know, when it's time to buy a gun, you don't buy the first gun that you touch, like the same, you don't marry the first woman that you sleep with, right? You spend some time with her.
okay.
Right? And that's what you do with your gun. You spend some time, you finesse
Correlation
it,
here
you
you're
know
making.
it. Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing with your gun. Then once you decide that you want to be with that gun, you want ownership, you want papers on it. You know, that's what they say. They want papers. You want papers on it. Right. Then you spend time with it. You know, you dry fire at home in front of the TV. You know, you
A lot
work
of
the
dry
camera.
firing, Bootsy.
Yeah, you dry fire. You got to work the action. You know, I
I'm
mean,
loving the metaphors.
A lot of action.
you got to work the action. You got to spend
Yeah,
time with
because
it.
you're
You
kind
know?
of taking this somewhere I never knew it could go. So I'm loving this. Like, okay.
Right. So you spend some time with it, and then you know, and the more time you spend with it, the more you know it. You know, the more familiar you are, the more proficient you are with it. You know, and the more comfortable you are. And so, you know, if God forbid, and I pray that this never happens, but God forbid, if you're ever involved in an incident, a shoot or don't shoot incident, right? Then, or what we call a critical incident, then you know how to handle yourself, right? And because it all comes down to a split second, shoot or don't shoot. And so, but again, it comes with training, it comes with practice, it comes with familiarization and spending time. So
where you
Coach,
located at?
Yeah, Coach, how do we reach you? Where you're located? How can people find out information?
Okay, great. So online website is lbcollective.co. You can always email us at lbcollective. So it's email us at info@lbcollective.co. We're on Instagram, lbcollective.co. I will say that at the end of the year, I'm actually rebranding because my beautiful business partner is expanding her family and doing some other things. And so it's going to just be me doing all the training, although she will come back and do some classes for me because she's amazing. So I am in the process of rebranding, but everything will transition over. And so you'll still be able to find me. I offer my classes. The classroom portion is done in Glen Burnie. And we qualify out of, usually it's Gumtree, but I go to any range, to be completely honest with you. I do a lot of one-on-one with my students, and I'll meet them where they are. I have a lot of students from PG County, so I'll go down to PG County, sometimes out in Harford County or Baltimore County, north, to go to the range. I don't want to be, publicizing and giving free advertisement for these different various ranges, but but I will travel, and I go to different ranges to meet my students because the one-on-one is a significant part of the training, and that's really where they tend to hone their skills, and whatever habits they're going to pick up, whether it's good or bad, that's where it's usually done. Because the classroom portion, the licensing part, is basic. It's real basic level training. So you have to do the one-on-ones. And so I travel all over, but my classroom is in Glen Burnie. And then I do, because Gumtree is huge supporter of mine. So I will say, and I do most of my qualifications out of Gumtree, but I will travel. And so people can find me again at lbcollective.co on the web, or email me at info@lbcollective.co. I'm on Instagram, and you know, I always respond, and I'm, you know, always there to help. And it's not just women, although I would like to increase my students, my women's student population, but it's men, it's women, it's children, it's families. We have family night out at the range, family day at the range. So yeah, I would encourage you to come out, Mark. I would love to see your family.
I'm coming. Me and Bootsy are coming.
Yeah, Bootsy, come on. Listen,
no, but you know, Bootsy already shoots sideways like on TV, so you're gonna have to.
Oh, he's Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, he's the Boys in the Hood.
Now,
I'll work with that. I'll fix it.
No, I actually had training because I was going to be a security guard, so I actually did have the training before. I was right there. I just ended up getting another job and not doing it. But I was, a few of my band members, I went through the extensive training and I was at the point to get my license. I never did.
Well, here we go. We're going to go with Coach Quiana and make it happen. Coach, we're going to let you go. You got your live show coming up at 8 o'clock. Coach, thanks again for joining us. And
you were amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. Wait, can I plug my live show too, by the way? I'd be remiss if I don't. Please, everybody, if you'd like, join me at 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights. On YouTube. I have it posted on my Instagram, so you can always get to the link there. But it's called Let's Get Tactical. You can find us on YouTube, 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights. Let's Get Tactical. We talk all things guns. It's usually me and 4 men. Picture that, right? But I hold my own. Once in a while, we have other women on there as guests, but I hold it down for the women, you know, because those men and that testosterone, they get to go getting crazy with all their big guns and all that accessories and all of this other stuff. So I have to bring it in. But we talk all things guns. We talk all things safety, training. We talk about what's happening, different shooting incidents that's taking place around the country, and what it means for us in Maryland, how we should or should not respond, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's a real good show, interesting perspective, interesting point of view. And, you know, we have a good time, and it's a lot of fun too. We have a good time. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it, Mark, that we were finally able to connect.
Yes, Coach Quiana, it won't be the last time, and we're coming to that range. All right. Thank you so much, Booster Vegas. Thank you. Bootsy has quickly your announcement. Are you saying that yet, or you want to wait?
Yeah, we definitely got to wait because it's gonna be a big thing behind it. But yeah, thank everybody who came out this week to support Raheem Devon and the Crane Crusaders at Piano Lounge. We really enjoyed it. Thank you. Bethesda Blues and Jazz, December the 9th.
Come on now. All right, y'all. Be good. We'll see you when we see you.
I'm booked and busy.